What's going on, everyone? It's Samguiny here, and welcome back to, I guess, another Overwatch video. And today is the 19th, and I just got done recording my live reaction to the event. It was pretty good. It is going to play in just a second. It was like, I like the 40 minutes of Overwatch 2 that they gave away. But one thing that I am going to say is that there isn't much content for Overwatch 1 that was announced. So I'm warning you that if they do announce something, it's probably not going to be in this video because this is just purely the reaction to what they gave us at Blizzcon Online. So without further ado, enjoy.
Previous Blizzcon headliner.
What? There's no Overwatch for the literal opening ceremony. I wouldn't be surprised if this was the only news that we got. Like, just this. Okay. Come on. Yes! Alright, here we go, here we go.
Welcome everybody to BlizzCon. We know that you all want to hear more about Overwatch 2. Allow us to invite you behind the scenes to explain more of what we're doing and why.
Everybody, please hit record. Fingers crossed.
We lost Scott.
It's off to a good start.
This is going great.
Okay.
We've been assembling one of the best teams that I have ever worked with.
I'm nervous.
And I'm so proud of the progress that we have made together.
Sojourn!
We really liked the stylized drop down.
Imagine that it's coming forward, boom, boom, just starts to spin.
The scale and the scope of this game have meant that we've needed to grow substantially.
We have to.
Sorry. Let me start over.
Overall, I think we've done incredibly well as a team moving to work from home.
They showed a little bit of Sojourn, that's awesome.
Oh, shadow play. There have definitely been challenges, but the team is really putting everything we've got behind this game.
To me, it's the next big step in the Overwatch universe. New heroes, game modes, major story beats.
With competitive and
Little
PvE,
cinematic
I see Overwatch 2 as the Overwatch for all of my friends.
You know, we're always inspired by what story and franchise development does with the animated shorts. We really wanted to bring that cinematic experience into the game.
You can invest in your heroes and grow them over time. I'm super geeked out about Overwatch 2.
I
Oh, yeah,
can't
this
wait for
looks
people to play
amazing.
this game. It just gets better and better.
There are some things that we just can't do without a sequel. So thank you so much for your patience so far, and I hope you enjoy this behind-the-scenes look at Overwatch 2.
I hope I do too, Jeff. Okay, PvP. I'm pretty happy about this.
All of our players at home, they want to see one of the new maps that we've never talked about before.
Really, I can just talk about anything that I want to.
Yes.
You're serving this up to the guy that is like unintentionally leaked information in past interviews.
Aaron.
You can do it officially now.
Okay, so one of the maps that I'm most excited for
Here we go.
in Overwatch 2 is our Rome map.
Rome.
I
Yo!
always want Overwatch to feel like this globe-trotting adventure for our players. So we're having a lot of fun coming up with the Overwatch version of Rome.
We wanted a very romantic, sort of this powerful feeling of old world architecture.
That's really
One of the
pretty.
most exciting things for me is the early building of these
What you
maps,
think about
where
that?
We get to sit down together with key people from the environment team, level designers,
You like the
effects
map?
groups. We'll spend some time talking about moments in the game that we
Oh, that's
really want to
so pretty.
see. Like the Colosseum or a grand view of the hills of Rome in the backdrop. And then we'll go back and do a paint over, or we'll do a concept painting of certain things based on that.
We try to draw inspiration from as many different sources as possible. For example, one of our environment artists had just taken a trip to Rome, and he returned with thousands of pictures and was so excited to work on a map set in Italy.
There's a lot of ancient architecture in Rome that
Ben's gonna like
represents the empire that it used to be. So we brought some of that back. Some of the things that are destroyed in real life, we kind of rebuilt in a kind of an Overwatch style.
It's one of the most beautiful pieces of environment art that I think we've made for the entire game, and it just absolutely took my breath away.
Can we reveal more maps?
Yes, Scott. Scott, why don't you have the honor? Why don't you reveal? Like, is there an artified? Like, let's pick an
More than
artified
right.
one.
I know what map I want to talk about. It's the one that I just get super excited about. New York City. New
No!
York City is just an amazing Overwatch location.
Oh my God!
We're really striving to make it as authentic as possible while still putting this Overwatch spin on it.
Oh my
There's
God!
a
I've
lot
always
of
wanted a
amazing
New York
buildings
map.
and architecture pieces that just, especially for artists, stands out a lot, and they usually use
Dude,
kind of
no
Art Deco
way.
style from the 1920s, 1950s.
We started in
Oh
an
my
area that's
God,
a
it's
little bit like the
amazing!
village. There's some smaller shops there. There's a fire station, little pizza places, and things that people that are familiar with New York City will either recognize or maybe see the reference that we're trying to make
Oh,
with
this
some
is
of our
amazing.
different locations.
I've
It
always
feels like
wanted New
something
York in
you haven't
Overwatch.
seen
It's
in
gonna be
other
so
games
awesome.
before because it's uniquely Overwatch.
This is already my new favorite map. I literally.
Well, we
That's
should
oh my
move
God.
on. Otherwise, we just have to reveal more maps. So
That's my favorite
we were
map so
talking
far.
about PvP.
Favorite map,
And,
dude.
you know, one thing that I think is really interesting about PvP in Overwatch 2 is some of the philosophical changes we're making to the approach.
PvP feels different and new. We're upgrading our combat feel. The roles are playing differently. When it comes to all new maps, it's a pretty big departure from where we are on live right now. So I can't wait to see where we end up with it by the time we launch this thing.
We're also experimenting with the idea we call role passives, which are passive abilities that a hero can have based on what role they are. For example, currently in our internal builds, the tank heroes all have knockback reduction against them, and they also generate less ultimate charge for enemies that are
That
shooting at
looks
them.
so good.
Damage dealing heroes have a movement speed bonus, which is great for flanking.
Wait,
around
was
the
that their
map.
new designs?
And healing heroes, support heroes have automatic healing that kicks in after they haven't taken damage for a while, very similar to Mercy's passive, but a little bit of a lower rate.
One of the more shocking changes that we've been exploring in Overwatch 2 PvP is a change to the tank role entirely. That's applied to all of the tanks. We want to try to make them more toe-to-toe brawlers
Okay.
and less characters that just stand back and protect other people.
So, for example, for Reinhardt, we've given him 2 charges of Fire Strikes, so we can throw Fire Strikes a lot more.
2
aggressively
Fire
and more often.
Strikes?
Also, his charge, he's able to cancel it now, and you can steer it more aggressively, so you can not quite turn a corner, but you can definitely more accurately pin targets. And because you can cancel it, it allows you to use it much more
They
aggressively
buff
and
tanks so
really
hard.
go after those key targets without feeling like you're going to sacrifice all of your positioning, everything to get there.
Nice.
He's almost more terrifying now with this, be able to unleash his full arsenal more often than kind of just being the guy with a shield.
The changes to Reinhardt that we're trying, and they might not ship, that's just the reality, but the changes that we're trying right now are to try to embrace more of that instinct that
That's so
players
cool that he can
have
cancel that.
when they want to
That's
play
interesting.
a big burly character that looks aggressive and feels like it should be aggressive.
They made him a menace.
Shortly after BlizzCon, we spun up this group, our combat field group, to really just work on what happens when a player holds the trigger.
We're putting a ton of effort into looking at all of our characters and trying to give them even a more visceral weapon feel.
From sound to VFX to animation to the design of these units, all new sounds for a lot of our weapons in the game, and a whole new sound system that's driving it. And we didn't just level up a unit, we leveled up the rest of the game.
Oh, Sojourn.
When we first started working on Overwatch, we
That's
spent quite
I
a bit
love
of time
that.
working on gunfire
She looks
sounds
fun.
and just general combat feel to make it feel really awesome. We're revisiting pretty much everything. Nothing's off the table, so we're looking at even kind of small things such as quick melee attacks that every hero has. So they have kind of new audio pass and a new kind of feel and visual effect when you hit things.
One of the bigger efforts we're undertaking for Overwatch 2 is what we're calling our Weapon 2.0 sound pass in the game. That means the way the gun feels in your hands. You could feel the
Oh, that's a
ammo
new
right
Bastion
now
model
as
as
you're
well.
getting
That
lower
looks
on the
amazing.
clip. We've really tried to amplify those sounds to better encapsulate the gameplay and the gunplay that comes with Overwatch 2.
You agree?
Another key for the weapons was getting
That gun
them
looks
to
good.
feel like they're in the environment. This meant working with Convolution Reverb. It's a new system that we've implemented into Overwatch. It's a way that we can capture the acoustics of an environment and transport it onto the sounds that we're using. So we went and captured tales of guns in different environments through our weapon shoots.
Jesus.
And then we've cut them and applied it so that we can support a lot more environments. Now we're supporting outdoor, urban outdoor, warehouse tales, tight tunnels, small rooms.
Jeez!
It gives a lot more presence to the weapons and the way that they react in the world.
The shooter genre
That's
has evolved
amazing.
a lot
I actually
since
really
Overwatch
like
1
that.
came out. On top of that, I think we really want to push the visceral nature of how we do combat. So we focused a lot, not just on the wonderful sound effects, but also with how the gun moves as you shoot. You know, so you can really feel every single shot leaving the chamber. And there's a lot of subtle little tweaks we have to do on the gameplay engineering side to make that feel really visceral. Everything from making sure that the camera
Sojourn
shakes are
looks
crisp,
actually
making sure that
amazing.
if you get shot, you know exactly these tight indicators.
I really
show up
like
on
how
the
Sojourn
outside of your
looks.
reticle. All these things play into making the game feel not just tight and responsive, but also modern and up to date. Take 76, for example. What we wanted to do in Overwatch 2 with his weapon was make it really feel incredibly powerful, and that happens with a bunch of different elements that mix together. But
Wow.
it really feels like the gun is almost just outside of your control. A lot of that comes down to this camera shake technology, where every time you fire the weapon, you want to feel like it's running through your entire body, and the camera shake gives that extra bite to every single shot.
Oh,
out of
that's
the
really
chamber.
cool.
It makes him feel really great.
You guys got a sneak peek of Sojourn from last BlizzCon. She's been under development for quite a while, and she's actually quickly at this point become a lot of people's favorites in-house. When we look back at Overwatch when it was originally created, there was a lot of heroes that were made from a gameplay
Oh, she like
standpoint
charges up her
surrounding
shots.
A weapon type. For example, Pharah was based on a rocket launcher hero. Widowmaker is clearly like kind of the sniper.
Dorado at
We thought
daytime.
there was a
What
weapon
is
that
this?
was kind of missing that would be a lot of fun to play with, and that's a railgun. It's so much fun in the playtest to have this really.
It is a
powerful
rail
shot
gun.
that
Oh, that's
can,
her
you know,
ultimate.
rip through enemies if you really are accurate with it, and she's all about that aim skill.
That's
so
awesome.
If you got that aim skill, you'll love her.
Mastery and
We're still
Gamer said it was a rail
exploring
gun.
new game modes, and we're also reevaluating older game modes that people are more critical of. You know, we're of the mindset maybe 2CP doesn't exist in Overwatch 2, and maybe there's a new cool game mode that replaces it. We really want Overwatch 2 to feel like the next evolution, a true sequel to the first game, not an add-on. It's not a small part. It's not an extension of the original game. This is an evolution and a replacement to the original game, and I think it's exciting.
Hero missions.
Hero
Yes, this is what I'm here
missions
for.
are probably one of the things that's the hardest to wrap your head around if you've never played one of them.
I mean, we all haven't played one of
The
them.
goal around hero missions is for these to be this co-op PvE experience.
I personally only play competitive mode. Like, I'm all about that competition. And I have friends that they don't want to do that at all. So I'm really looking forward to a game that I can play hours and hours with my friends who aren't in competitive. And it's also something that I'm interested in.
Hero missions are the content that people are playing as they are leveling up their heroes. And so for a system like this to really sing, you need a lot
That
of
looks
missions.
so cool,
You don't
dude.
want players to feel like they're just in this
Is that you,
grind
Farah?
to get to the top.
And there's a lot of really,
Nice.
really good back-end technology that we're exploring so that the heroes are constantly bringing their personality and some light story to these hero missions as well.
The goal is to make as many as possible, hundreds of hero missions. We've explored a lot of different ways of getting to that much content. So have like different sets of enemy units that people will be fighting against, and there's different hero mission types. At the same time, hero missions can take place in all of the multiplayer maps that we've done, and we're also adding new spaces onto some of these maps.
I love this new map. I forgot what it was called.
It's a huge challenge for the art team. We take maps
Gothenburg, I
that a
think?
lot of people love and recognize, and we have to add a lot more art and level design to it.
in this one hero mission playtest, we came up to an area in King's Row that usually has a gate on it. Suddenly that gate opened and I saw a new area of King's Row that I had never seen before.
Oh!
You may be playing a payload game type, and the payload may decide to take this new route instead of going the usual route.
That was really, really cool. It was like this eye-opening special moment.
Dude, that's awesome.
Lan, our lead tech artist on the environment side, very early on her own free time, made a prototype of a sandstorm on the Temple of Anubis map.
And at the time, we didn't know what we wanted to do with that, but it looked awesome.
We looked at it and went, oh my God, we absolutely have to do this.
So we put some new technology in place that allows us to do this dynamically.
Petra looks
Start
amazing.
the mission
Oh my
off,
God.
clear day. Midway through the mission, suddenly this
Is that
sandstorm
Toronto?
or heavy weather would show up.
It made the world just feel so much more alive.
That's insane how good that looks, my
There's
God.
a sunset, daytime, nighttime, but depending on where you are in the world, these look different. California or Hollywood would have what we call a California sun. New Bonnie, there's a great African sun that happens there. You start to get a sense of space and mood. This is what really brings the levels to life.
Damn, Paris looks so much better. Like, if you
For me,
compare
the
side by
dynamic
side
world's
Paris there, it's
exciting.
amazing.
Just seeing these dramatic landscapes, the wind and the atmosphere blowing by. It's a much more cinematic experience for the player.
Before you start a mission, you look at a map. It's nighttime in Necropolis, or there's a sandstorm in Necropolis. Players can make some comp choices based on knowing this information.
Oh my
Characters
God.
like Hanzo or Widowmaker start to be a little more valuable because they have abilities that allow them to see through the sand more clearly.
Oh,
Are
that's
we going to
interesting
talk
to think
about any of the types of objectives in hero missions?
Yeah, let's talk about the objectives. Players are being asked to do different things from one hero mission to the next so that they all feel really fresh to the player.
For example, we have Gather and
No, I'm
Return,
eating, I'm
where
hungry.
you're trying to go and grab these different canisters to kind of safeguard them so they don't go off and affect the population. In a
Oh
negative
my
way.
goodness,
It
May,
creates
on a
this really cool
telephone,
tension in the
deactivating
world
something.
where
What is
on the one hand,
happening?
you're trying to split up and go grab all these canisters to be as efficient as possible, but at the same time, now you're having these sort of special enemy units spawn that are really difficult, and if you kind of get caught by yourself, it turns into a pretty bad
What is
situation really
that?
quickly, and it feels extremely cooperative and like a very different way to interact with the Overwatch universe.
We're experimenting with all sorts of ideas, and just internally we have names like Wall of Death, Scavenger Hunt, and Kill Quest, and all these new mechanics and enemies for people to experience. Players will be able to jump in night after night, play different hero missions, and then work through the progression system, leveling up their heroes.
It's so mind-blowing to see all this, like, null sector on the
At
maps that
Blizzcon in
you play a lot on.
2019, we started to talk about progression, and we showed the very early version of our talent system, which I think was really cool. We had that one talent where, like, Meg became the rolling snowball, which was a big hit. We've really blown that system out.
I'm real excited about talents. You can play the same hero in so many different ways. Now with the skill tree, you can have fun every night doing different things and kind of experimenting.
Yeah, the talent system is like really deep,
Whoa!
and rich, and every single hero.
That's
has
much more than what we saw at
different trees.
BlizzCon.
You might open up 76's tree, and as you're leveling and picking new talents, you're starting to feel your hero change.
Wait, Soldier looks so
We've had some
good!
pretty hilarious.
That was his
versions
new model.
of
He has a
the
beard and
healing
everything.
one where his biotic field travels with him. It
Oh,
also
that's cool.
repulses enemies. We called it the snowplow build, where 76 is like running through spaces, pushing enemies away from them.
Designing these is super fun because it's like we get to break all the rules that we've sort of established for ourselves, and we get to really take the gloves off and do crazy things like Junkrat can dual wield grenade launchers, and we've had Mercy be able to area effect res their whole team at once at super long range through walls. It's been a ton of fun, kind of like mad scientists making all this stuff.
You're all used to using these kind of kinetic weapons like Soldier 76's rifle or fire attack like what Reinhardt's Flame Strike does. As soon as you start to mutate these things with talents, all of a sudden maybe you're doing freeze damage or electrical damage, but it gives the animators a bunch of crazy opportunities.
Dude,
You know,
what?
animations are going to change to show them freezing and shattering. And if you shock someone with a lightning attack,
Turn the
they can
fire
shake
strike
in
into an
place
ice strike.
and maybe chain to other enemies. All sorts of stuff to make you feel like you're controlling the battlefield in novel ways.
As a huge RPG nerd myself, the first time I opened up the talent tree systems, it was like, Oh my gosh, this is speaking my love language. Like, I just want to plan, and I want to see, like, where do I want to invest, and how am I going to play this
There's going to be, like, whole builds.
Yes, it's so great. And you start at the bottom of the tree. Like,
yes,
oh my,
exactly.
Like, Tracer gets to do what?
Yeah.
And then you start working and kind of planning how you're going to get down there. It's like, oh, it's so fun.
Sure sounds fun.
When we look back at BlizzCon 2019 and we talk about some of the criticisms that we had, one of them as a development team that we felt was that the combat was just not engaging enough. So the fact that our combat wasn't highly engaging to us as players meant that we had a problem with the enemy units and that they just weren't feeling interesting enough.
Just because we show something to the public, it doesn't mean that that is what it's going to be. If we make discoveries where things aren't working how we want,
that talent system looks
insanely different, fun enough, we're totally down to reinvestigate, reiterate, and just really find ways to level kind of all aspects of things until they feel good.
I would say a major focus of all of 2020 was to make the null sector enemy units more engaging. And some of this was adding new units and evolving other units that we had.
Interesting combat for us is varied combat for us. So sometimes we're going to ask you to protect something in Overwatch 2. Sometimes we're just going to ask you to get someplace. Sometimes we might ask you to escort something across a map while it's being attacked. And so it's a different type of spawning, and it's a different type of units that are in there, and it's a simpler objective.
There's a lot of units Aaron is talking about. Lots of different units, lots of different types. They serve different purposes. You do different things to them. It's really going to help a lot of us find the fun and make sure that Overwatch 2 is a blast.
One of those sets of enemies is what we internally call objective units. And they're typically units that don't even attack players. The simplest version would be something like the Breacher.
It's two legs with this huge bomb on its back. It was built to do one thing: slowly and methodically march towards its objective.
That is so well made.
It transforms, and the bomb opens up like a flower. It starts spinning and charging up, and you hear this awesome sound, and you know you have a little bit of time before it's going to explode, and you have to take it out.
Well, the animation is so good.
The slicers, which
the
you guys have seen before, they're
so
little,
good.
We call them the chickens. Chicken flies. They run really fast. You know, we have a guy we're experimenting with right now who flies and drops these bombs that create these kind of ever-expanding smoke fields that you have to escape from, but because they're super deadly, so you really get to use your mobility options to kind of escape that.
There's things like the Polar. You could be moving through these darker alleys, and as soon as you hear that Polar spawn, it suddenly becomes like really spooky and kind of scary.
This very tall, elegant-looking character that's blindfolded, 3 orbs that
like
circle around her as her eyes, and we basically spun those orbs around her head as a big tell, launched them at the player, and then it activates this tractor beam, and it's bringing you in, and then you get this awesome like anticipation.
What?
Opening up so you know what's about to happen.
One thing we've recently been experimenting with is this idea of elite units. We didn't want the elite units to feel like they're just, oh, this guy's got double health and double damage. We want to make sure the elite units feel like they have different behaviors and have different attacks. So, for example, an Omnic Grunt, normally he fires his gun, he dies pretty simply. If you fight elite Grunts, his weapon fires in a burst fire pattern. It's very deadly if you're close. And if you manage to take him out, they don't just die right away. They instead can crawl on the ground towards you, and you try to back away because
yeah, he's like crawling. That's cool.
Artillery at BlizzCon. We're all just staring at this, and we're like, what are we gonna do to level this up?
One of the things we really felt wasn't coming through was the damage states. We intend for players to shoot these guns off, but currently it's not reading as something that can happen in the game easily.
We changed the design, we changed the animation, and we go back and forth and just continually iterate.
We decided, hey, you know what? We're gonna just delete half of these damage states, so now it's super readable.
From an animation standpoint, we decided on the spinning barrel version. Just did this really nice kickback. The tip of the barrel opens up when it's about to fire and shifts into place, and boom!
It's really amazing to be fighting
Sorry
an
if I'm
artillery
repeating myself.
unit,
This is
and
amazing.
you
This
see the
looks
guns on the
amazing.
side, and as you're shooting the guns,
Question
you're
is
actually
when we're
visibly
gonna
taking
get it.
damage, and then you can blow them off, and it reacts and kind of stumbles to the side, and really makes you feel like you're there, and it's super fun.
In a lot of the stuff we've showed so far, you're fighting null sector. These are evil killing machines intent on marching you down. The way you're going to stop them is by shooting them, and we want to make sure that feels responsive and visceral. Really making sure that when they take a hit, it feels like their whole body has been punched, almost like hit by a truck. That's what really sells this fantasy that you're playing these superheroes. One of the cool pieces of technology that we created was what we call chain hit reactions. Oftentimes you'll find null sector bunched up, marching maybe a half a dozen units abreast. You expect if you shoot one,
oh, it's like
they're gonna knock them
bowling.
to the ground.
He's
So
just
we
bowling
make
them,
that
dude.
happen. Turns out it's really fun too.
Okay, I like that new McCree build. I like
One of the things
that.
that we showed last year at Blizzcon was the new looks for our heroes. The theory kind of going in was like, you want to preserve the essence of your hero, but also kind of show that a hero's evolved and kind of changed and moved forward. So we have a lot more new looks. So I'm excited to see how players and fans react to all of the ones that we've done so far.
Maybe we'll share some of those new looks today, which would be cool.
We're going to reveal McCree's new look for Overwatch 2 as well as Pharah, and we're really excited to show off some of our first villains with Reaper and Widowmaker. But first I wanted to talk a little bit about technical wear, kind of like technical clothing.
McCree, Pharah, Reaper, Widowmaker. And we also saw Soldier. We saw
as well
Soldiers.
as having very intricate but functional straps designed in a way that it's very aesthetically pleasing. With McCree, we took a couple of different approaches. He's got this classic cowboy look that it's really hard to mess with because if you try to make him too sophisticated,
he's
or
so
too techy,
polished.
it might not feel right for the character. But as a concept artist, you always want to change things around.
I
to try
love that
different
gun.
shapes
That gun is
and
amazing.
silhouettes.
That
So
gun is
we
actually
did identify
so
as Red Serape as the main thing for McCree. We also tried a couple different things with McCree's
He looks
cowboy
more like a
hat.
robot
We
now.
didn't really want to mess with that too much because that's a very iconic part of him. So that's another piece that we kept. We tried some retro cowboy looks that mixed in some tech here and there. Some that were a little bit more techy than others, some that were a little bit more classic cowboy. We gave him a little bit of a longer beard, and it really gives him a nice kind of like a more aged
Bro,
look.
I love this new look.
What's
It's
different
amazing.
about Pharah than some of our other heroes is Pharah's completely covered in armor. We didn't want to change her silhouette too much. It was more about experimenting on different colors.
That's-
it
oh my
felt
God.
really appropriate for her to be the one to harken back to those original Overwatch colors.
I love the different
of white and
colors,
blue.
dude. I actually
One of the
love
things that we
different
wanted to update on Pharah was her visor. Instead of being completely opaque and reflective, we tried a little bit more of a transparent approach, and being able to see through it a little bit now allows us to see some more of her emotions. Reaper was actually the ones
Reaper.
I was very excited to work on.
Oh
because
my
I see a lot of
God.
potential in how we can integrate his cloak,
Dude, this
and his
is-
cowl, and his armor, and how we can make all those shapes really sing.
That's
together
an
in a
amazing new look for Reaper. I love
Reaper
that.
silhouette. We tried a
That
couple
gun
shapes
is
for the
so
first
good.
pass, like completely silver arms, more layers to his jacket. Reaper's mask
He
is
looks more like
obviously
metallic now.
pretty sacred to us. But the thing you'll notice immediately is that it's now completely silver. Instead of the bone white, he's got this like almost like deadly edgy silver.
Those
That just
guns
gives him
look
that
so
classic Reaper
good.
look.
Oh, he has like blades
With
on his
Widowmaker,
elbow.
we started with the IDA stage, exploring a breadth of ideas.
Oh, wow.
We tried things like a more insectoid approach, treasure hunter. One of them
Curious.
made
What's
her
the
feel
Widow?
like a classic Bond villain.
Show
So
the
we kind of
Widow.
steered it back towards one of the more cyberpunk looking
braids
ones,
are
almost like a
amazing.
futuristic femme
Oh
fatale,
my
which
God,
is
oh, this is
basically
the
what
best one
Widowmaker
so
is,
far.
but she even
This is
feels
actually the
more
best one so
upgraded.
far. This is the
So I'm
best new
super
look.
glad that we went down this route. We played with different hairstyles too. Widowmaker has the really long ponytail.
That gun
that's
is so
really
futuristic
Key
looking,
part of her look. And we really liked the hairstyle on one of the designs that was more of a braid, and it was really interesting look that also preserves Widowmaker's original silhouette with that long ponytail.
We've been working a
I
lot
love
with
that. I love
our
that hair. It
domino
looks amazing.
engine
The
and
gun is
making
also
our
really
cloth
good.
look better. Now that we have this cloth tech, we're going to be able to make some really cool, unique silhouettes that will help them stand out from other heroes. We put a lot of time and effort into our face rig, and what I mean by that is we're going to be able to get really close to these characters, and it's going to feel really cool. It is absolutely worth the time and the effort to invest in the technology, and that way we can make these characters do more things that we haven't really been able to do before.
It's been super exciting working on the new looks for Overwatch 2, and it's just been so inspiring to watch the team try things that we've never tried before, and I just can't wait
Those
to
new
show off
designs
more
are
in the
amazing.
future.
The best ones for sure is Widowmaker or McCree.
Overwatch 2 is
I love that Widow look, though. That's
probably
amazing. It's also
the
really good.
largest opportunity we've had since the inception of the franchise to really expand what Overwatch even means to our players. In 0 Hour, we saw that some of the heroes got back together, but we're also seeing that there seems to be a second huge Omnic uprising. We're gonna learn who's behind that uprising, why that's happening, how globally spread is it.
The story and franchise development group, they were really the torchbearers of what the big story is that we're going to tell for this game.
Sorry if I yell every time I
We
see
have
her.
a lot of interaction with them.
I want Sojourn so bad.
In-game cinematic intros and outros for every one of our story missions.
It's been really great to see this collaboration grow and develop. The story is just a little more integrated into our missions than it ever really has been before. All the available heroes get
so
dialogue
good.
for a given mission. We have NPCs. We have multiple hero choices.
We have all sorts of events that are happening that are driving players to interact with each other or parts of the environment or other characters.
The world of Overwatch is this bright, shiny future. So how do you take that bright, shiny future and create conflict in it? How dark can the world of Overwatch go?
Oh, God.
The different challenges that these characters are going to have to overcome in Overwatch
Whoa!
2 are things that they haven't ever dealt with
That looks
before, or
nice.
dealt with on this
Apart from the
scale.
dead bodies, but like that
so
looks nice.
what we had to do was literally strip it down to those bare bones of where are these characters in their lives. Overwatch has been disbanded, and now there's a situation where the world's in trouble again, and the world needs the heroes again, but they're not allowed to be doing what they were supposed to be doing.
We started to book these off-site locations so we could brainstorm over and over different versions of what the Overwatch 2 story campaign could be.
And we basically had these whiteboards that we were carting around everywhere.
The room was filled with whiteboards, and we would just write every day story beats with the characters and who was doing what and where, and oh my gosh, we forgot this character.
We had these giant sticky notes, and each one of them would be a mission with a bunch of notes on it. You know, somebody say, well, what if we moved Rio to the end? And they'd physically grab it off the wall and stick it on the end.
And we did this for a while, you know, until we all felt that it was pretty close to what we wanted.
Then we could send it to our writers.
God,
room.
Sojourn
writers'
even looks
rooms
cool
then
in
had a
that
much
animation.
clear direction of where we wanted this process to go.
Ultimately, we come up with something that we think is right for the game,
What?
and then we pitch it back to the game team, and they point out everything that we missed.
And that allows us to actually back up and go and make it right and make it better.
Because the scale of this story is so huge, it takes place over the whole world, basically. It just requires a constant
map is so
iteration,
good.
constant refinement to make the story as best as we can make it.
From writing, we go to storyboards.
Engine upgrade's
Storyboards
amazing. It
get
looks like it
crafted
has
with the
ray
edit.
tracing. It doesn't,
From
but
there,
it looks
it'll go
so
to a
good.
previs department where they'll start to flesh it out in 3D. Once we've kind of figured out our camera work and our cinematography, that'll then go to the animation department. And then we end up going...
Genji
right into the
saving
game engine.
Zenyatta, let's go!
One of our challenges
was
to figure out how to integrate this story and this narrative with the
I'm about to
gameplay.
whoop Bastion's ass,
So
okay?
the intro cinematic ends with this huge battle, this huge war. When you get into the game, it has to mesh and feel the exact same way and blend together.
We really are also trying to get the music to be equally as consistent from in-game cinematics straight through to the mission. Adam Burgess, our lead composer, has been working with the IGC team, with the game team, developing themes for all of the heroes, all of the locations.
As the cinematic director, whatever we're crafting should never override the gameplay. We want to make sure that the player's experience going from the cinematic to the
Sojourn is
gameplay
so
is
badass.
seamless and it feels like a completely immersive experience.
The engineers, we have to find a way to actually make that come to fruition. The choreo tool is a tool that allows people to coordinate different events to happen at the same time. Like in Rio, if you played our demo, one of the buildings explodes. And so that kind of event needs to happen as you're running by, and you need to have it timed, because if it blows up too early, then you don't see it. It allows story moments in missions that interact with the environment, that interact with our characters.
The new tech, the new abilities that we have now are allowing us to push our storytelling farther than we could have previously.
What's also really powerful about choreo is that, you know, if somebody has an idea, they can mock things up really quickly.
We got to show the Widowmaker making this awesome introduction. Casey was able to quickly put a really rough prototype in choreo And Philip would come in and on the fly, he's making quick changes. They play tested something that would normally take weeks. It was done in like a matter of days.
Oh, you have like you got like live interactions with the different enemies and stuff.
Map
That's cool.
built for it, and these maps are absolutely gigantic.
India is one of our biggest maps, and it's a fun map because it
India
has
looks
a
beautiful.
few story beats that we've taken from
Wow.
comics and characters in the game.
We've written a history for each city so that the cities feel lived in. And I think that informs the artists so that they know like what it is that the city has been through.
Gothenburg was our chance to show Torbjorn's workshop. We created a space that kind of fits his height. So there's, step ladders and scalable tables. We designed the space as if we were Torbjorn. Molten steel is pouring out of walls. It's pretty epic when you walk into it.
That does look so epic though.
Toronto was under siege by Null Sector when the players arrived here. There's a dynamic snowstorm. So as you make your way through the level, the snow is slowly building up. Suddenly by the end, the characters are caught in this gigantic snowstorm and they must fight their way through.
That's so awesome.
In Overwatch 2, we want to give you choice to be able to play this character or that character. So we're designing a lot of systems around how their relationships develop over the course of the story missions in the campaign.
We have a cast of many characters all on screen, all at the same time, and it's fantastic to actually see them all interacting and working together in ways that we've never actually seen. We've always thought about it and
look
hoped
so
for it,
good.
but now it's actually happening.
It actually requires us to have a whole new branching dialogue system. If you happen to have Genji and Mercy in the second mission of the game, you might get different dialogue that's about their relationship.
Our voice actors bring the characters to life in ways that everybody has fallen in love with, from inside Blizzard to the fans. Just to hear this collection of actors all together, all interacting, has been a real treat.
Hammer down!
Nice.
I wish people could see how many people are involved when it comes to something like telling the story of Overwatch. It doesn't just come from a singular person, it comes from a group, and it's a really talented, fun group that all works together.
We've been developing what we hope is one of the best stories ever. And, there's some key moments that I'm really excited about, and I really can't wait to see how people react to it.
Sojourn is so badass, dude. I only want her more now. In conclusion, okay.
We've been talking about the game, about this universe. I know you all love it so much.
Right now, we can sit down and have a night of Overwatch 2 and have it be a really fun experience. And I think we need some more time till we can say it's perfectly polished in the way that we want it.
Right.
We've made such incredible strides since we first announced this and showed it to the community at Blizzcon in 2019.
The thing that I'm most excited about is that moment when we hand the game over to the players.
We want to create something that really moves people, really touches people.
That's why we do it. We create the game because we want it to become part of your life and for you to experience it.
For Overwatch 2, we're upping the bar.
It's kind of 5 games in one. It's a huge undertaking.
The new tech and the new aesthetics for the new looks bring you closer to the characters that you love, and we're just getting started.
The fidelity of the gameplay experience is much richer.
We are making cinematics that push the boundary of what we can do to tell stories.
We want this dynamic world. We want things to feel alive.
I'm really
Oh,
looking
dude, the
forward
weather
to
looks
being
so
able
good.
to expand
I can't wait for the
world
sandstorms and the
Overwatch
blizzards
for
and all
our
that.
players.
We're really trying to tell this epic story.
In order to make a game great, it takes time, energy, collaboration.
We have just an incredibly professional team of designers and artists and engineers.
We just love bringing this world to you guys. So many cool characters. It's just a blast working on it.
Our goal is for Overwatch 2 to be the worthy successor to the first game, to be the next evolution, and to be a true sequel.
We have big plans. So thank you for sticking with us.
We're gonna cross the finish line, and I know it's gonna be awesome.
I hope people just end up loving playing it over and over.
That's what we want to try and capture. I'm jumping in, I'm playing, let's go be heroes.
That looks so good, dude. I love this new McCree and everything. Oh my god. that was an amazing use of 40 minutes. It's just they haven't announced anything for the actual game, and it worries me. If they are genuinely going to ignore the current game, then that's going to be a big issue. But
Dolby is a proud partner of BlizzCon Line.
Dolby
Watch
art
Shop versus the world in Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos.
Yeah, let me lower this. So pretty much, yeah, that was a pretty good use of the 40 minutes. When it comes down to actual looks behind Overwatch 2, I'm happy with that. I'm really satisfied at what they did there. Like, it's really, really good what they did so far. I like this new news and everything. I just really want them to add something to Overwatch 1, because if not, then it's not gonna look good at all. Like, but this was a good behind the scenes of Overwatch 2. I will say that. I'm really pumped for New York City. Alright, so I guess that's it. I'm pretty disappointed that they didn't announce Overwatch 1 stuff, I'm gonna be totally honest. I hope they do come out with stuff soon for Overwatch 1. But, on a scale of Overwatch 2, everything they're doing for the game is absolutely perfect, and I cannot wait for more announcements. That was amazing. But yeah, that was pretty cool. If there is any more news, I'll add it to the video, but for now, thank you guys for watching.